Teen Powerhouse Show, live with you every Tuesday night. This is a very special episode because we have Mr. Michael Christoforo from Guaranteed Rate back in the studio. You got Erik Vazquez on your far right, David Lamel here. And this episode is very important to know because it has to do with your money and your future and your credit, how, what, and why. Michael Christoforo from Guaranteed Rate is an expert in credit and also with how to make sure you can have a great future economically when it comes to your credit, your future buying a house, not to mention the future of where money's going to be. Michael Christoforo, how are you, buddy?
Very well, Dave. How are you?
I am fantastic. Let's first start talking about one of the most important things that all buyers need to know is how do they fix their credit, right? Let's start with that. Are there any myths beginning with credit repair?
Is there a myth with credit repair? I would say.
I think he means towards like where people think, okay, I have to pay off my credit cards in order to.
Okay, got it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that makes sense. No, it's always better to have your credit paid for, and to have zero balance on it is perfect. You don't need to pay an interest rate every month in order to have good credit.
So what you're saying is keeping balances on a credit card doesn't make your credit get better. You can pay them off every month.
Absolutely. I tell that to people all the time, and they're like, really? I've been paying interest because I thought I was going to get better credit.
When it comes to credit cards, what should be the maximum credit? And that's how things happen live on the show.
Nobody saw that.
Nobody saw nothing, right? Was that like a ghost that just fall down? All right, we had a little mishap in the background. We are going back to credits and credit cards. So credit cards, if someone's keeping a 30% balance on their credit every month, now there's two questions. What's the max balance you should keep on your credit cards first?
Well, I think you should find out what your line of credit is on it.
Yes.
And you should keep it under 30% ideally.
Okay.
Um,
So with that being said, what should be the most amount of credit cards a person should have? Is there a maximum amount of credit cards you should have?
No, I would say the more the merrier. If you had 10 credit cards with zero balances on every one of them,
Yes.
you would, and you use every now and then certain ones, you would have excellent credit as long as you made your payments on time. That would be great. That's far better than somebody coming to me with only one credit card or two credit cards. Sometimes we want a minimum of 3 trade lines.
So it's interesting you say that because I've been talking about some buyers recently. And one thing I've learned from you and talking about this kind of stuff is, and for buyers out there to know, as Michael just said, so they might have one credit card in their name. They're like, well, I keep my balances low and I can't have my credit cards. But they don't have a lot of credit to their name because they only have one credit card, correct?
Correct.
So you might recommend people who have one credit card, maybe have 2, 3, or 4 credit cards at maybe $5,000 or $10,000 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
Because every credit card you have gives you that much more credit. So every credit card, let's say the max is $5,000. If you have 5 cards at $5,000, you have $25,000 in credit, which means that you can use up to, on all 5 cards, no more than 30% per card. Is that right? Or if you have 5 credit cards with 30% each one, is that bad?
No, I think you'd have a very good credit. If you make your payments on time, you're going to have very good credit because you're under 30% utilization. See, the way the credit bureau and the lenders are looking at this is they're saying he has 5 credit card, let's say 10 credit cards at $5,000 each. He has a $50,000 or she has a $50,000 line of credit, and they only used 5 or 10,000 or 15,000 on it. So they're not abusive to their credit because they're not abusing their credit by using it too much. And likewise, if you had no balance every month on the 50,000, you're even less abusive of your credit, so to speak.
So then I have a question. So, and I don't know if it's still going on today, but I remember probably at least 15, 20 years ago, folks would, when you open a new credit card account, there was a way that you could transfer the balance from another card or from a bunch of cards into that account. So, but that could be a negative effect, right? Because if you're taking a balance of 3 different cards and putting it onto this one card,
Right.
unless the credit limit is astronomical,
Right.
you could be going from having less than 50 or 30% on all these different cards to now having one card with 70%, and you're now hurting yourself.
Yes, you would absolutely be hurting yourself. I also do tell people the older their credit is and the better their credit history payment is, inquiries will have less of an effect against them negatively because we have such a great resource of great positive credit. That you probably can have a credit card in that situation that's over 50%, but it's one, it's not multiple. I mean, I run into a lot of clients that have multiple credit cards and every one of them might be maxed out. And that's where the credit score is really taking it on the chin, where it's really hitting them pretty badly. And unfortunately, it's really not fair because I have seen people that have, let's say, 5 credit cards, $200 max limit. 200, 5 times 2, that means that the total max available to them is, 200 times 5 is $1,000. And they have $1,000 on a credit card, on their credit cards. They're all maxed out, and they have a very low credit score. Versus someone that has $50,000 line of credit with $20,000 on it, and they have a better score because they haven't abused their credit
Percentage-wise.
Yeah.
And that leads into people who are first-time home buyers. Maybe you just graduated college. You got a good job lined up. Right now, and let's start with that. A person gets out of college, they've got a good job lined up.
Mhm.
They would get a letter of, what's it called? That basically the promissory note that they're going to get a job. What's it called? That
Oh, yeah, an offer letter
an
from
offer
their employer.
letter, right? So you have an offer letter to get hired by, let's say, Electric Boat.
Mhm.
And this would be an example for, you got a promissory note to get paid by Electric Boat. You're starting in the month of June. How soon can a buyer? First question. Start the process of buying a house with a promise letter? Do they have to start the work first, or is the promise letter enough for them to buy a house?
Great question. They want it to be a non-contingent offer. So in other words, that means there can't be any contingencies if there's a chance that they're not going to get that job. So for example, if it's contingent on a drug test, we can't count it until the drug test is taken off the contingency. It has to be contingent free. If it's Electric Boat, it might be someone that has where they're doing a background check.
Background check. They want to get a certain kind of level of pass to get in. And they call it like a security.
Yep.
clearance.
That contingency has to be cleared before we as a lender would use that to buy
So
before
they get past all their clearances in whatever job they're going to be going for, medical place, et cetera, et cetera. They haven't started the job yet. Can they buy a house?
Once those contingencies are off, and we have an offer letter from a major company. I'm not talking about
The gap.
well, Gap is major. I'm talking about, it's not like Johnny's Home Improvement.
Johnny's Deli.
Yeah, exactly, or something like that. So if we have an offer letter from a reputable company that's coming in and there's no contingencies on it, we would count that as income.
Now, would that be something where they can close on that property before that, or they would need to have their first paycheck?
They're probably we need no, I shouldn't say that. It's within 60 days, I believe. So yeah, it's
60 days.
within 60 days. The offer letter has to state what the date of the start date. They can close within 60 days before that.
That's pretty messy, and pretty amazing.
Yeah.
In addition to that, going back to that same buyer, so, and Eric and I were asking questions before to ourselves, we were talking about this. A buyer comes out of college, they've got some debt in their name, right? So when it comes to the debt that they have, how does the lender look at the buyer, right, in the perspective of their ability to buy a house? Is it based on how much money they're going to get offered to start with versus how much money they owe on their college debt? Does it make a difference when the college debt starts? And third part of that question is, how about the payments on that college debt? Do they need to have that satisfied or set up in advance prior to getting a mortgage?
Great questions. So first of all, if a student loan is not in repayment, we're going to have to count either 0.5% or 1% of that amount, depending on what lender or what program we go with. So it's either going to be 0.5% or 1% if it's not in repayment. If it's in repayment, I would tell people, make sure the payment is as cheap as you possibly can get that. So I would rather see you with a 20 or 30-year student loan payment and make extra payments rather than saying, oh, I'll just pay it off within 5 years, but now you have this astronomical monthly payment that we have to use to qualify.
So they own $400,000 in college loans. They can take it over 30 years to pay it if they want to set that up. I don't even know
If they
what the
can.
maximum schedule is. They break it down based on whatever percentage you're paying, and then that. So it's just. Do you know much about this college debt? How much interest rates are? Any chance? I'm not sure. I have no idea personally.
I'm gonna guess that it depends on what type of loan. My daughter's been out of school a couple of years, but it was if you're taking a federal insured loan, they were anywhere in the 3s and 4s, and if you were doing a Parent Plus loan, which is after the first set of money that you can get from the government, they were probably close to 9%.
Okay. So they take that. And this is 3-4 years ago. So they're probably higher rates now than ever before. So again, you have yourself wanting to buy a house. First time buyer. They're probably between 25 and 30 years old. They're first time buyers. They came out of college in the last year, let's say. They've got a significant other. They're both in the same spot where they both graduated college. They've got good jobs lined up, right? They went for a smart reason, like whether it's medical or something along the lines where they're going to get a job and make money. I promise right now, I'll let you both work for the government, et cetera, right? They are in the position to buy a house that should start looking, shouldn't they?
They are in the position to be able to buy the house as long as they are not overwhelmed with too much debt based on their income. Absolutely, they would be available now.
You definitely need to start thinking about this if you're in school or getting ready to graduate school, because by you doing this, what's going to happen is you're going to be in a better place, mind and body, to be educated on the ability to buy a house, what your ability to buy a house for how much, right? And then how to game plan in advance. Because what happens is people get overwhelmed by this information so quick. And what happens is they get overwhelmed because it's like all that's happening at once. Mom and dad could be in the back of their ear telling them about what a great idea or a bad idea something is. First, it's being educated on what knowledge you have from your own personal perspective, financially, on your job going to get, that you're going to have, the payment plans in advance, right?
I mean, keep in mind that what the house prices look like now versus what they're going to look like in 5 to 10 years.
You're 100%
might
right.
be just another reason to say, I'm just going to buy now then.
Absolutely. Eric, it's a very good point, because the interest of the property is going up 10 to 20% a year. So if you see a house today for $400,000, in 5 years that house is going to be at least $500,000, easily, without question. And now you're going to pay more money for that same house. Good point, Eric. Very good point. One of the next conversations we're going to get into, which is a big conversation to talk about, that people have been asking about, don't know much about, and this is where Michael is pretty knowledgeable also, is the future and money of blockchain technology. And we're going to touch a little bit on this because there's a lot of different pieces, and we can get into it more in another show. But the future and money of blockchain technology is something that people need to start learning about and educating themselves about and getting to know more about what blockchain is. So let's start with you, Michael, on this question. What is blockchain technology?
Basically, it's a technology where everything goes on a blockchain, which everything is blocks that are built on for everything that happens with that item, whatever we do. So for example, let's say, I purchase something from you, and it's done with a blockchain technology and a crypto or a digital asset. I prefer the name digital asset over crypto because it sounds better for sure.
Okay.
But in that situation, everything that happens in that situation is recorded on a technology that's always going to be recorded.
So what you're saying is the actual term blockchain or digital asset is the money that's moving between X and Y in the process of buying something where it's being held and moving through. Is that what
it's not. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is that the actual transaction that happened on what happened on the blockchain, so it's all recorded that Mike purchased or gave certain amount of money to David for this thing, and it's on that chain forever.
So
It
the
will
word
never disappear.
but the blockchain exactly is a recorded device of some sort that holds information or money.
It's a crypt. It's the technology of the
Transaction
not the of the cryptocurrency.
of the currency.
You know, of the
blockchain.
currency, yes, and how that's all done. That's the piece that I'm talking about is the technology of.
So then what
Blockchain.
differentiates why, because if the crypto is kind of connected to the blockchain, then
It is.
what creates the better currency like Ethereum or
Mm-hmm.
we all know, you know. the
Yeah,
other one?
yeah.
No, Bitcoin.
Right.
Bitcoin. Yeah.
Bitcoin's
Yeah.
the granddad,
Yeah.
right?
Granddad,
So,
yes.
yeah.
you know, what is it about Bitcoin or its blockchain that makes it or sets it apart from the others like Doge and some of the others?
Good question, Eric.
It's a great question, but well, first of all, they're just separate blockchains. So, for example, if you actually were able to delve into the actual blockchain of Bitcoin, for example, you can find everyone that actually owns Bitcoin actually is on the blockchain, and you can actually see the wallets of who owns what.
Mhm.
You might have to do a little bit of delving into to figure out.
It's public information? Or?
It's all on the blockchain. It's public information.
Okay.
Yep.
So you don't have to hack it to get it?
No, you don't have
Okay.
to hack it to get it. You just have to need to know how to do it.
Okay.
Eric's
But
phone.
no, it's
Eric's
a
like,
good
I got a
question.
guy. I got a guy.
I'm not hacking it. I don't have that much interest in knowing who has how much Bitcoin.
Right.
No,
So again, going back to Eric's question, that's a great question. Depending on what crypto you own, it depends on what blockchain you're on.
every one of them has their own blockchain technology. Everyone's got their own individual code. That's exactly correct. It's all individual.
And Eric was mentioning, is there a better code or blockchain than another? I mean, it's different minds or what like an opinion. What's your opinion of yours? This is an opinion.
It's a great question. There literally are over 20,000 different cryptos, blockchain technologies that are out there.
Wow.
There's a ton of them. And a lot of people say there's going to be, a lot of them that are going to fail. Absolutely. When government regulations step in,
Yeah.
they're saying that you're probably looking at 50 to 100 that will survive. So let that be a warning to everybody. If you decide to get into it, make sure you're getting into ones that are
More of a blue chip type.
exactly. Those are the ones that are going to run the money systems. They will run a lot of, run all the technology where, you'll end up having eventually, stocks will end up going through blockchain technologies. Why? Because it's faster, it's immutable, they can see everything, and it can happen a lot quicker. They keep talking in the industry about T+1, T+2, which is, how long it takes for a transaction to settle. When everything starts settling quicker with blockchain technology than any other way, you're going to see that they're going to settle instantaneously. And that will be the banks, that will be the stocks, that will be everything. And that's the direction we're
But that's
going.
not the current environment, right? So like if you
No,
have
no.
a stock and you sell that stock, because I haven't been in the market for a while. I actually used to work for a brokerage firm. But if you sell, let's say, 5 shares of Harley Davidson, right? What do you get paid on it?
What do you get paid on?
When do you get paid on it?
Oh, I haven't, even for the settlement? Oh, you mean,
Yeah.
what will it be?
No. So let's say I call my broker and I say, hey, go ahead and sell 500 shares of Harley Davidson, right? And they go, okay. They go out, they actually make the sale on the market.
Mhm.
When does that money hit my account?
I don't know the answer.
But it's
Exactly.
not, but it's different from blockchain. Because in the blockchain, it would be instant. So
Instantaneous.
I sell 500 shares of HOG, which is the symbol for Harley Davidson. I get that money instantaneously. And then I can take that money and buy something else. Whereas with the brokerage firm, you may have that T+1 or T+2.
Yep, you have to let it.
Oh, we got a live call coming in over here.
Whose phone is that? Is that your phone? That's my phone.
Apparently, I thought I put it on
We
vibrate.
apologize for the loud
That's
music in
okay.
the background from the cell phone.
Just
Michael, your phone is always going off. Like, it's a reason
Yeah,
for
well,
it.
it's loud too. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's okay. So, but going back to this, so basically, Eric, you're saying is, or recommending, or talking about yours, the fact that the idea of a blockchain and crypto technology is going to make money go much faster. So if Eric sells something immediately.
Well, because when you sell your 500 shares of stock, right, it's not one person who's buying it. I mean, there might be who just buys in bulk, but it could be 3,000 different people who are just buying a few shares here and there.
And the time you might get the money.
They have to make the payments. That payment has to go to their brokerage firm,
Yes.
and then that brokerage firm has to send it over to your brokerage firm. So I don't think it's anywhere as near as quick as what you're talking about with the blockchain.
You're absolutely right.
And the question that you just mentioned, how fast that money in your account, or you want to reinvest it in something else, and depending what you want to reinvest it in, hypothetically speaking, you're gonna go from maybe stock to crypto, where we can't do that right. Well, that's supposed to be coming out now. I think they heard
Well,
that.
I think you're gonna end up, everyone that's listening to this podcast, they're going to see, they're not even gonna know when they're actually having it happen to them. Because it's gonna happen so fast, it's all gonna be behind the rails, nobody's even going to see that it was blockchain that actually made that movement. But it's gonna happen instantaneously, it's gonna happen. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, one of the funniest things that people say to me, I'm not getting involved in crypto because I can't see it. And I said, well, when's the last time you saw your stock? When else you touch a stock?
You can still have a stock issued.
You could,
Yes, you can.
I'm sure.
You can,
But I'm sure that
it does, but yeah.
Anybody if
Very
ever touched
very
or
few
seen-
people do it.
Exactly.
Right.
So my point is that you sell a stock, you own a stock, you don't even ever have anything physically in your hands. It's in like that never land on the computer.
It's the same thing as your savings account.
Well,
You can't see it.
Well, savings account, you can actually see it.
You can see your
And you
crypto balance too.
Yeah,
Your crypto balance,
How,
unlike your savings account, is fluctuating at different value amounts during the day.
Checking account, savings account, you have your digital paper, it comes and prints it out every month, or you get it in the computer, you can see your app on your phone. But now it's the same kind of idea. You're right though, you have a good point. With this crypto, it's right on your phone, right on your app, you can see what's going on. And if you want to liquidate the money, boom, you literally, when you liquidate crypto, it's instantaneous in your account. It's amazing. Where if you get a check from anybody cash, you may have to wait 5 or 7 to 10 days.
or whatever.
Which is amazing. Which is another reason why crypto is going to be the future, because people want things faster, you need it faster, do things faster.
100%. And here's the thing, talk about technology. Everybody uses their cell phone, but nobody knows how the technology works for the cell phone.
That's for sure.
Everybody uses their debit card and their credit card. Nobody knows
They know.
how that works.
They know how this stuff works.
But
He's in the age group where they know how it all works.
But there's so many protocols. See, that's the thing I keep telling everyone is that really blockchains are the protocol for what's going to be moving the money. So you're allowed to be able to buy the protocol of how to be able to move it. Nobody told us how to be able to buy a protocol, how to make money when an email was being set up, or how an email was being set up, or how to make money off of every single time a PDF was created. Nobody's told us on any of that technology, but that technology all happened behind the scenes.
We just accepted it.
But it happened behind the scenes. This is the situation where we're actually able to see and be able to invest in the blockchain before the blockchain is actually moving the money.
You want to learn more about
Everybody
credit, right? Credit, number one, you're buying a house, how to get yourself ready to go. Number two, you're just graduated college, you've got a great job lined up, you want to buy as soon as you can, and it may sound like a crazy thing to say to you, but put your balls in the row, the court. My father, I forget when I graduated college, said, Dave, don't buy a car, buy a condo. And I didn't listen to him. What did I do? I rented for 7 years in a row. And if I think about how much money I burned on that 7 years, I could have owned 2 or 3 condos at that point.
Yeah.
So definitely get involved. Make sure you start preparing yourself in advance. You're getting ready to graduate college. You're in college. You just finished college. Start learning how to be ahead of the game. Don't be the person that wish I should have, could have, and not be there. And then finale, blockchain technology. What is it? Get involved in it. Learn it. Know what crypto and blockchain is. Get involved. Start investing a little bit now, because if you don't, you're going to be sorry. Danny, every time he gets money, I say, take 10% at least and go buy some crypto with it. And he does a little research. He gets educated in that kind of stuff. He's buying a few different things. He's also invested in the stock market. He's learning as much as he can as possible, because every paycheck these young people have, what do they need the money for? They don't need the money for anything important right now. If they take a percentage of their paychecks
Smart.
and they start investing it,
Investment.
it's going to be your future. So guys, you're in high school, you're in college, learn to invest, be a part of the future that you want to be in. Don't be the one that I wish I learned, I wish I knew. Start asking questions.
And just want to add one thing real quick. Financial planners, oftentimes when I talk to them, they can't recommend anything because it's not a regulated thing yet that they can't actually tell people. So it's a lot of user doing their own research. And to be honest with you, every financial planner that I speak to, I typically know more than most of them regarding this technology because they can't sell it yet, so they can't. There's no reason
They can't
really
speak
to
on it.
learn about it.
They can't speak on it.
And legally, they can't. And legally, we can't. None of us.
Nobody's legally allowed to talk about it.
Right.
This whole story, this whole show about Crypto Park is informational. It's
Yeah.
not guaranteed to be
Right.
advice, financial advice, but know that it's important for you to learn and really be educated because it's going to be your future and your pocket's going to depend on it. I want to thank you so much for being part of the show today, Mr. Michael Christoforo. Always full of knowledge. You're awesome.
It's fun. It's always fun.
We get to go to our next part of our show. We'll give a free tumbler giveaway, and we're gonna set that up right now. And let us know the lucky winner is gonna be Thane. Dum 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 dum.
That's not the song.
No pressure over here.
No, that's not the song. That's
I was close.
No, he wasn't.
So, and by the way, remember if you want to win this wheel, let's go.
We got Hope Logos 2022.
Dope Logos 2022. You are the winner of Team Power Tumbler. Please get in touch with us. We can get you at the Street Tumbler. We appreciate you being a part of our show every week, everybody. Thank you so much. We hope you've learned a lot. Guaranteed rate, Michael Christoforo, a man who is very important to you. You want to make sure you see that number on the screen to call. And of course, Michael, your phone number for everybody to call.
203-314-7352.
Michael Christoforo, guaranteed rate. Erik Vazquez, David Lamel here. Signing off. We will